What is going on, everybody? Another episode of 4x4 Camping and Adventures, and in today's episode it is going to be a fully in-depth, detailed review of this Y62, which I've owned for just over 12 months. But I'm going to go through every single thing that I've done to it, all the things that I regret doing to it, all the things that I absolutely love about it. And after this video, there'll be another video coming out the next day. So this video will come out on the Saturday. And then on the Sunday, there'll be a Q&A where some people have asked me some questions around fuel economy, which is always a big one, and some other interesting questions around the vehicle. So without further ado, let's get into the 12-month review. All right, so let's talk about the business end of the vehicle, the drawer system. Now, I am absolutely stoked with how this went. Like, even when camping and that kind of thing, I'm absolutely stoked how this came together. It was a bit of a drafty idea that I put together to John. It would have been like last year in September, and we sort of come up with this idea that we want to install a pantry instead of a coffee machine, and have this pull-out table and that kind of stuff. And it's just really turned out perfect for what I do for camping. I cook on this, I serve drinks and all that kind of thing on this. It's perfect for everything, and the best thing about it is it tucks back in. You'd never have to see it again. On my beach days, I'm always at the beach, so on my beach days and that kind of thing, that just comes out. We put all our food on there and just cook, and yeah, it's absolutely perfect. The two drawers are perfect size. I pretty much now have it nailed down, so after having it for 12 months, I've worked out what I do need in there, what I don't need in there. So I've taken some things out and left sort of, some things in there. So yeah, it's a pretty versatile setup. You can actually take those drawers out if you want a bit more space. So, if we need a bit more space and we're going somewhere, we don't need to take all the camping gear, you can take those two drawers out and literally use that as storage. And of course, I do love the pantry. That is in still my opinion, one of the best things that, probably one of the best ideas I've come up with in a long time. And I suppose I spoke to this bloke the other day on Instagram, and he's actually gone to John and had this entire setup replicated for his Y62. So that made me super chuffed that people really see the benefit of this kind of setup. And look, even like putting like duffel bags and that kind of stuff in there, there's so much space for anything I need to do with it. So the 40-litre water tank behind the fridge is perfect. So again, perfect for those beach days. You can just clean your feet off and that kind of stuff. The upright fridge has been going fantastic. I think I spoke about it in the sort of review of the fridge, that the door panel started popping out because it was too short, but they fixed that. They just sent me a new door. I've actually got one of these. Well, it's actually at my house now, but this is actually going to go into my camper trailer. And more info on that a little bit later, like down the track. But I've got a camper trailer series coming out. But I'm going to put one of these a little bit bigger in my camper trailer as well. Let's go to this guy here. You probably know all about it, but if you haven't heard about it, it's a 8-way switch which controls pretty much everything on my 12-volt setup. So I've got air compressor, GPS for the aerial on the roof, water pump. I've got roof lights. I've got rear lights up here, inverter, which is my travel buddy, and that's everything. My 12-volt, simple, easy, and really easy to access and that kind of stuff as well. Submarine screen. This has been a blessing in disguise because it really does let you be able to sort of keep a track on your 12-volt system. I've got a 100 amp hour iTech World lithium battery in this. Again, I've actually got two of those going into my camper trailer as well. I actually love the battery that much. It's been absolutely fantastic, and that gets charged by solar on the roof, and I'll go into a little bit about that on the roof, but that is pretty much monitoring everything and giving me updates about how my battery's situated, how much amps is going in, all that kind of stuff. And on the side here, I've got a little bit of a panel that I can pull up, and I'll put all my recovery gear behind there. But that's pretty much the rear drawer setup. It is a very, very versatile setup. As I said, I love this fridge. I think Bushman absolutely nailed it with these upright fridges. I suppose the longevity, it's been in the car for 12 months now. And some people, I was actually watching Cam's video the other day. He was talking about this compared to a normal fridge. And some people in the video were sort of asking me about the longevity. You put these in caravans, you put these in motorhomes. They're all going all over corrugations as much as these cars are. This car's got fantastic suspensions, so I don't know if that makes a bit of a difference to the old Ute, with the old leaf spring suspensions, but I've never had a drama with it. It's never cut out. I've never had it, die on me or anything like that. It is only 12 months old, so I can only give you a 12-month sort of biased opinion. But if I have any dramas along the track, obviously I'll give you guys a bit of a yell. but it's been fantastic so far. But absolutely love that guy there. Perfect for about 4 to 5 days camping. I can put 4 to 5 days camping worth of food in there, if you know what I mean. So that is a very cool little idea, especially got a wagon, maximising the space and lowering the weight. Above me here, I have a just like a solar panel, or not a solar panel, what do they call them? They're called solar screen is what they're called. So the solar screen that goes on the back windows and this window here. I've got no visibility to the back anyway, so hence why I put the solar screen there. Plus it takes a little bit of heat out of, getting into the back of the vehicle. Lets this guy work a little bit less hard because it's not just getting swamped by heat all the time, because essentially it is a bit of a fishbowl in here. You have a window here and 2 windows there, which literally just throw heat into the back of this area. But yeah, solar screen's working fantastic. They're about $250 directly from the solar screen. You can get the kits for, I believe, the rear doors as well, but I didn't want to go the full doors because I think that looks a bit funny when you start going half the car with solar screens. On the side here, I've just got, it's probably a little bit hard to see in the video, but I've just got some hockey straps. Now, they actually hold my Grab Me Gear bin bag. They also hold the pull-out fire pit that I've got. So a little bit of just a little bit of ingenuity thing there, but it works really well. And then on the side here, I've actually moved, you probably saw in my last video, I had it there, but I've moved the paper towel holder onto this side, purely to give me a little bit more access space around there. And that's pretty much it in the rear setup. So let's keep moving forward. I want to make this video sort of brief, but a bit of detail as well. I don't want to be sort of talking about this for 20 minutes and making the video for about 90 minutes long. I want to keep this sort of short, sharp and sweet, and answer most of the questions in the Q&A video, which will be coming out tomorrow. Let's jump to the next section. All right, the side of the vehicle. Let's go through it. So you can see the solar screen there in the window. Let's go from the roof rack down. I do have some roof mounted lights. That's just to give me a little bit of sort of exposure around campsites, or if I'm driving through the bush or whatever, I can get a bit of a side light thing happening. This guy here just sort of actually shoots down at my swag, so it gives me heaps of light just underneath the awning there. Let's talk about the 2 aerials on the roof. I roof mounted both my GME 6dB aerial and also my 4G Telstra booster. They're both remounted to give me really the best reception possible, and the 6dB's up there for purely to give me the most distance possible with the 2-way. Super big 180 awning. This has been, I gotta admit, this has been a fantastic awning. I reckon probably, I'm just trying to go through how many times I've ripped this out, put it at the beach. I mean, over Christmas, this came out about 9 times over Christmas, and the amount of shade it gets and actually stays so cold underneath it because the canvas is so thick. But anyway, it's a bloody good awning. They're about $900, so if you want a 180, you do have the poles, which is a little bit annoying, but beyond that, it is a bloody good awning. So really highly recommend that. It has been absolutely smashed. You can actually probably see it here, but it's all scuffed up. It's bloody awesome. I cannot this is one of the highest recommended items that are on the car. That is fantastic. I just wish it was poleless. That'd be fantastic. But anyway, can't have everything. Moving down, Paramount snorkel. So this is the 5-inch version of the Paramount snorkel, color coded with the pearl of the car. I think, and it's my car, so I don't really care what people think about it, but I think it looks absolutely primo with the color coding. I'm really happy I didn't go the black, but yeah, I reckon that's bloody awesome. It looks clean, it matches the car, doesn't stand out too much, which is another reason why I wanted to sort of go that way. But yeah, 5-inch Paramount snorkel done by a guy in Bibra Lake, so a local bloke, and supporting those Australian businesses, which is what this car was all about when I first started building it 12 months ago. Go down to the, let's say, what are they called? Rock sliders? Rock sliders, I think you call these days. So you can see it's a bit scuffed up. I've hit a few rocks on it and they've done extremely well. I've probably got to give this one a bit of a touch up, so I've sort of ground it out. But anyway, they've been holding up really well. The car's been landing on them. They're a Rhino branded, so that sort of matches the front bar. So Rhino 4x4, really strong. Haven't bent it, so yeah, it's been fantastic. So they're great. We'll keep moving backwards, I suppose. Let's talk about the rear tyres. These are a fairly new addition because I had the original Bridgestone all-terrain tyres on there, which were okay. I mean, they were just standard factory tyres you get with your car. These are the Maxxis Razors. I'm pretty happy with them so far. They've probably got about probably 8,000 Ks on them so far, roughly. They seem to be wearing like really well. I've heard people that sort of with Y62s, they can go out of alignment and get camber issues and that kind of stuff. But I mean, I'm still on the stock suspension, so might sort of save me in that respect. But I've had one wheel alignment with them on, but they seem to be wearing really well. They're not too noisy. I don't find them to be too intrusive in the vehicles when I'm driving. But they're great off road. Like I've had them in the mud, I've had them in the rocks, I've had them on the beach. They're fantastic. So no real bad things to talk about them. I bought them with my own money, so I don't care if if they turn to shit, I'll tell you. But yeah, they've been pretty good so far. So happy to sort of support them so far. But I'll let you know further on down the track. And obviously the ROH Invader rims, they are 18 by 9 with I think it's a 30 offset or something. I'll chuck it on the screen, but it's a 30 offset. They don't poke. You don't get too much of the tyre poke coming out the side, so you don't get rocks and that kind of stuff flinging down the side of the car. These are a 295 by, I think it's 70? 295 70 on an 18-inch rim, which essentially in the old money is a 34.6 or a 35, depending how you want to round it up. But they fit with a stock lift. So you do get a little bit of rubbing with the factory bumper. Or I have been told they do rub a little bit, but you can tweak that a little bit by just sort of doing a bit of choppy. But they do fit with a factory lift, factory bar with a bit of tweaking. But obviously with the bull bar that I've got, they've got heaps of clearance. So they're 35-inch tire and a stock lift is pretty ridiculous. And that's pretty much it on this side of the vehicle, or probably both sides because they're identical. And it's just got your standard tint, which I put on pretty early into the piece. But let's move further around the front and talk about what's happening at the front. Okay, front of the vehicle. I sort of went through this in a fair bit of detail, so maybe jump on that video if you want to go into more detail about the bull bar on that. But this is a Rhino 4x4 steel bar. I still reckon, even with all the newer bar comes out like the TJMs and that kind of stuff, this is definitely one of the neatest looking bars that you can get for a Y62. I do love the fact that it doesn't protrude out at all. This pretty much matches the original, let's say, measurements. So when you got your car, it doesn't protrude out. So like an ARB bar, which normally comes out a fair bit further than a standard bar. Now I've got quite a smaller garage. I think it's only about 6 meters. If I put an ARB bar in here, I would actually be able to fit this into the garage. So there's a lot of thinking around how this car was sort of modified, but the fact that it doesn't protrude out too much and it sort of really matches, and it almost looks factory. Like if Nissan made a factory bull bar, it would have looked something like this, I reckon. Or they should have made it look like this, in my opinion. But still a bull bar. As I said, one of the nicer looking bull bars out there. Behind here, you have a 12,000 pound winch. I haven't actually had the chance to use that yet. So I'm hoping to use it sort of this winter. I haven't really been in a situation where I needed a winch yet. So I haven't really used it too much, so I can't talk too much on it, but I'm sure it's nice and powerful and it will pull me out of anything that I need to. And in the front here, I've got I'd say it's a 22-inch light bar. This is, as I said, again, Rhino. So most of the stuff on the front here is Rhino, but this is a spot and a pencil beam. So the spots are on the side and then the pencil on the front, and then I've got it on the roof rack as well. But this thing just puts out insane light. It's plenty. I barely ever put the roof one on. Like, this is perfect. Like, even when you're going around bush, that's ample enough. You see these people with sort of 4 spotties or 6 spotties on the roof, and they've got them in here and they've got them behind the grill, and like, you don't need that much light, boys. You literally 22-inch light bar, or how big that is, and maybe a roof mounted one. It's plenty of light. So yeah, don't fall into the trap. I suppose if you're watching this video, don't fall in the trap of thinking you need 30 spotlights in the front of your car, because it's just not necessary. Anyway, moving forward, there's a bash plate under there. That's Rhino as well, but that's pretty much it from the front end, guys. Nothing's been done to the motor yet. The motor is completely stock. As I said, I've done the snorkel, I've done the exhaust, and that's about it really from like a performance aspect. There is more performance stuff coming, but I'll answer that stuff in the Q&A video. I'd say I want to sort of keep this quite neat and tidy. We'll go up the front, let's say the front with the roof rack. So on the roof rack, I've got my treads, Tread Pros. I've got 4 of those up there mounted on the tread brackets that you can buy from like Super Cheap or whatever. I've got the, it's probably a 50-inch light bar. I've got the 2 aerials. I've got the Trail Max roof rack, which I've done a complete video on that. I've got a 180 watt solar panel from Red Arc, so I've actually upgraded the solar panel. I'll go into detail about that in the other video, but it's thrown in about 10 amps. It's a bloody killer solar panel. And that's pretty much it up there for most of the stuff. On the other side, I've got a kick-ass shower awning, and then, you know, I just use that to get changed and that kind of stuff. But that's pretty much up there. There's a few lights and that kind of thing, but that's the majority of stuff that's happening up there with the roof rack. But let me take you inside and talk about a few new additions I've done to the inside, because there's something I've done actually yesterday and I'm pretty stoked with it. So let's jump inside. All right, interior. So let me talk about the newest addition. I purchased this from EC Off-Road on their Boxing Day sale. Let me get the price out straight away. These are about $2 grand. So they're not cheap, but it really does amplify the interior and brings it sort of that 2020 level you sort of expect to pay for a $100,000 vehicle. Now look, it's not for everybody. I got it because bit of a sporadic purchase, but that is what it is. But I'm really glad I did get it. So let me tell you the details. It does everything your normal dash does, but more. So you've got off-road modes. It also detects when you're off-road how much angle and that kind of stuff you got your wheels. So even if you're in a bit of a weird situation, you're stuck on a rut and you don't know which way your wheels are facing, it'll actually tell you on that screen, which is pretty cool. So it obviously uses the sensors and that kind of stuff off the wheel. It also tells you what mode you're in, so pretty standard like 4H, 4L. It's got all your original readings on there, so it's got like your rev, it's got your speed. The speed's really accurate. So I found doing 110 on the road with these tyres, I think I was doing about 107, so about 113 is about where it's right with this car to be 110 on the road with the bigger tyres obviously. And it's the amount of features it got. I'll show you the video, but the amount of features as I'm talking, but you can just really set it up how you want to drive. So you can have the rev counter in the middle, so it's a bit like an Audi, I suppose, but you can have the rev counter in the middle, so it's giving you that sort of all the information on each side. So you could have like your tire pressures and that kind of stuff on one side, and then all your fuel economy and that kind of stuff on the other. It tells you if you've got your headlights on or on, because the little car on the screen turns the headlights off and on. It's really crazy amount of things this thing can do, but it is expensive. It's not for everybody, so I'm not going to go put it in your car, because it is a big expense. But it really does elevate that sort of interior to that 2020 level. Because as we know, these cars have a pretty basic interior. They've got wood grain. I'm actually a fan of the wood grain. It doesn't really bother me. I don't look at it enough to be like, oh, you know, it looks like cheap plastic, because it is cheap plastic. But it, you know, it doesn't really bother me enough. But that's probably the biggest change of the interior, is changing those dashes. And obviously had the Wolf box up here, which is my dash cam, also my rear camera, because I can't see anything behind me. And the rest of it's pretty stock. Like, these are a super comfortable car, and I don't want to be changing too many things in the interior I don't want to be like putting things on the dash. It just makes it look a bit cheap in my opinion. You start putting holes in the dash, and you know, you change your mind or something, and then you got this hole in your dash. And you know, we're talking about $100,000 car here, so we're not talking about, you know, like a $5,000 junker where you can just screw into the dash and it doesn't really matter. And it's a 10-year car too, so, or 9-year car, because I've already done a year in it. But I want to make it neat and tidy. I want to keep it looking fresh. Over the side here, I've done the video. It actually came out yesterday, but the high kick throttle controller, that's a fantastic little unit. Underneath there, I've got a Red Arc Tow Pro, so I put a Tow Pro in here as well. That's purely for the camper trailer. Obviously on the door there, I've still got my XRS Connect from GME. I'm still really happy with that location. It doesn't bother me at all. People said, oh, it's going to get in your way, but it doesn't seem to when I'm going forward driving. My phone mount, a lot of people ask me what kind of phone mount I got. I had a bunch of different ones. I had like the ones that go on the vents, and I've had like one that goes in the CD player, but then it gets in the way of, like, you know, your gear knob and that kind of thing. So I went with a quad lock that mounts up to the windscreen, and that's been fantastic. So yeah, they're not cheap. It's about $100 I think for the mount, but and obviously you got to get the case that goes with it. So like your quad lock case goes with it. But yeah, no, they're fantastic. You just chuck it up there when you want to, you know, have your phone up there. When you're forward driving, it doesn't bounce off, and that's what I wanted mine for, especially with maps and that kind of stuff. I wanted to make sure it's really good for maps. But everything else beyond here is pretty much factory. There are a few things that I want to do with the interior. So I don't have Apple CarPlay in this car, and I do have it in my BT50, which I use for work. So I probably am going to get the 12-inch Tesla screen that goes in the middle here. I'll just wait for them to come on special because they're also about $2,000. But yeah, the screen I want to replace just to give me Apple CarPlay and a few other features. But yeah, the screen is, I can install Apple CarPlay, but it's like a $1,200 kit. So if you're going to spend $1,200 on a kit just to give you Apple CarPlay, you may as well get the whole thing to give you, all the other cool features that those screens come with. But that's pretty much it for the interior. It is pretty factory in here. These Razorback seats are not sponsored. I'm probably the only person in Australia that hasn't got sponsors from Razorback. But I bought these. These are about $300. They're very, very well fitting. They've got like little pockets in the front, which are pretty much useless. But I don't know what you'd put in there because it can barely hold anything. But it's got these little flaps in the front. But yeah, they hold the seat really well, and it's obviously going to protect that leather for those 10 years that I'm going to own the car. And that's pretty much about it really inside here. There's not too much else to tell. It's as I said, it's very factory, but it's keeping things nice and neat and tidy, which is what I like the most. And the floor mats are 3D Max Tracks, Max Track, I think they're called 3D Max Track. I believe these are the same ones Graham runs in his Isuzu. They seem to be really good. They hold all the sand and they mold very well to like the floor. So I'm pretty happy with those. They've been going really well. Easy to clean as well. You hit them with a high pressure cleaner. But that's pretty much it. Like it's very factory in here, but it's very neat and tidy. It is good, neat, clean. I haven't got things hanging off all over the dash. I mean, yeah, I just hate stuff being in my face. Like even that phone's a little bit too in my face, but I can work with that. But yeah, this is my interior. But as I said, that dash, that is killer. That is a definite game changer to clean up the interior. I suppose if you've got a fully modified Y62 and you're sort of looking for that next mod that you want to do, have a look at these dashes because they do really give you that elevation of the interior, making it feel like a bit of a 2020 car or maybe a 2020 $100,000 car. So yeah, let's move on, guys. I think I feel like I've covered everything. Actually, I'll talk about the exhaust. So the exhaust I've changed. Originally, I originally chopped out the resonator and put a hot dog there, but I've now changed to a catback pacemaker system, and it sounds fantastic. I'll give you a bit of a sound bite. So as I said, sounds good. But yeah, it's a pacemaker catback, pretty standard stuff. And beyond that, there's a few other things like I've run a 12-volt plug so I can run my camper trailer, but that's all small stuff you probably don't really need to hear about. That's about it, really. That is the car in a nutshell. Coming from when I first bought it to where I am now, and seeing the difference, like I'll put up a picture of the screen of how it looks when I first got it and then where it looks now. It's a completely different vehicle. It is absolutely awesome. I'm so happy with it. But as I said in the Q&A video, I'll probably go into some details about what I don't like about the car and a few things that I would have changed and done differently. But I'll leave that for the Q&A video. So that'll be coming out tomorrow. If you come this far, thanks so much for watching this video, guys. I really do appreciate it. So that's pretty much it, guys. If you have any questions, chuck them down in the comments. I'll answer them. I'll pretty much answer all the questions that I get. And if I don't see you out in the tracks and trails, I might see you in the next video. If I don't see you in the next video, I shall see you later. Have a great Saturday, guys. And I'll see you in the Q&A video coming out tomorrow. Bye.